go, here we go, here we go. Take that, Tunisia. Take that, Denmark. Here we go. Where you at, Lionel? Lionel Messi, where you at? We got you tomorrow, boy. We're going to get fucking smashed. 4-0 to the Argies over Australia tomorrow. Doesn't matter. We did better than Belgium. So what more could you ask for? Welcome, everybody, to another Friday night here for Going for Two Live. I am your host. I'm not really a host. I'm just a guy doing the show. A host would be someone that has someone with him. I'm not that. Either way, it doesn't matter. My name is Dan. I am at the B League Says. Hashtag Thomas the Tank Engine. Hashtag Discord Dan. Hashtag Promo Pimp. Hashtag Jetlag John. Welcome. I'm all of those things. Welcome to the show. Another Friday night. We're off and we're running. Again, Australia, Argentina tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Get around it. My God. We're going to get absolutely pumped. We're going to get fucking smashed. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Either way, we're here for another B-League Pick'em show. Based off our sponsor, you know what those things are? Those guys that'll pay for stuff if you do the things for them. It's great. Underdog.com. It's phenomenal. Get around it. 100% matching deposit up to $100 using promo code GF2. If this is your first time, again, as always, subscribe on YouTube. Hit the alert button. Join me every Friday night. Also, get over to our Discord. It's Discord Dan time. That's what you want to be doing, right? Discord, get amongst it. Going for Two server over on Discord. You can basically grab all of your favorite analysts, writers, all that sort of stuff. You can find them in there. Just grab Gladys. She loves it. Just tag Gladys and ask her all your questions on a Sunday morning real early. She got that mountain time up her sleeve, so I think she's up an hour before everyone else. Doesn't really matter. Either way, we're going to kick off into Friday night. It's a great night to be amongst it, I think. Talking some prop bets from Underdog. A few weird ones out there. Some really good matchups, which is quite pleasant because the last few weeks have just been an abomination, really. Some real low-scoring options, some real just hard to kind of pick. We're still managing all right. We're still up around that 10 out of 13 mark, which is all right. Again, you don't have to pick all of these yourself. Just have a look, have a sniff, get around it, have a look, see what you can get out there and go from there. It's not that hard. You have to pick all 13. I'm just saying, this is what I'm having a look at. That's how we roll. If it's your first time, it's week 13. What the hell's your problem? I mean, come on. What are we doing here, right? Like, it's taking a while. Either way, I take a look at the morning games, the afternoon games, and the prime time games, Sunday, Monday, and I try to group them up into a little bit and go from there. Normally, I look at the implied totals and see what we got. Some really good ones, as I said. Really good games on across the board. We're looking at, obviously in the morning, you got Cleveland, Houston already an implied total, 47.5. Jacksonville and Detroit, 51. Green Bay, Chicago, 44.5. Tennessee, 44.5. I kind of feel like there might be a little bit more meat on the bone with those two last ones, especially Tennessee, Philly. You know, obviously Tennessee's run defense is going to come up against a really good run team, but, you know, Hurts has been able to throw it about free will, really. So kind of interesting to see that that's only at 44.5, even at Philly. Maybe there's something I'm not really catching on there, but I'm surprised to see that low. But again, for the morning picks, I went with the easy one. I went with the low-hanging fruit because that's what I do. I went for Jacksonville and Detroit. Again, at Detroit, I think it's quite interesting here. Up and away. We're going over. I like it. You got bootleg, Cutler, the leggy blonde, and the guy that Arizona should have kept. Pretty easy if it's not obvious. If you're $5, if you can figure out that. We're going Jared Goff higher than 241.5 passing yards. I feel like this is an easy one. Home underdog against the team that's showing cracks, has a penchant to allow the average quarterbacks to go off on them. Sign me up. You know, you look at some of the quarterbacks that have gone off on Jacksonville, Heinicke, Jones, not exactly a murderer's row of, like, talent. Like, it's not hard to score on Jacksonville. I think Jared Goff won't have a problem. Also good to know he's averaging 257 at home, 227 on the road, but 257 at home is pretty good. Obviously, St. Brown's worked his way back in. Chark looked all right. Could do a little bit more, but DJ Chark's looking all right. Obviously, Khalif Raymond works in and around. They can get some receiving chops out of Swift here or there, maybe Jamal Williams. It's still a shame that Hockenson isn't there because that was quite the quintet that they had with Swift, the three receivers, and Hockenson, but it is what it is. Jags are giving up the same amount of passing yards per week to opposition quarterbacks. So, they're giving up 257 a week. Goff's walking at 257 at home, and 241 I feel is a little bit low in a game that has shootout appeal. I really find that's quite a low one for me. I'm stunned, to be honest with you. When I saw 241, I was all about it. Dangerous. What movie are you watching? Not that I can help. I know nothing about movies, so whatever. He gets it. Not going to lie, I was falling asleep on the couch at about 5:30 this afternoon. I was struggling. I have hit the struggle bar, so it's almost delayed. But we should be right this weekend, I think. Feeling all right. Either way. Pick number 2 that I don't mind in this game, it's kind of like the low-hanging fruit. Again, love low-hanging fruit. It's generally the ripest, right? That's why it falls. We're looking at Trevor Lawrence higher than 14.5 rush yards. Now, we could have gone passing yards, attempts, touchdowns. 14.5 rush yards? I kind of feel like that's a pretty good one. I don't mind that one. Look, he's got some run in him, young Trev, doesn't he? He's got some run in him, young blood. He's got a little bit of yardage in him. 256 passing yards was a little higher than what I wanted. You can go across the board. I think Thrive had him around 240, and that would have been that would have been a little bit easier to kind of to consider. I don't think that would have been much of a problem. But 256. I'm not saying that he can't. It's just I'm not going to go for that higher total if I don't have to. Either way, look, obviously ETN's health is a concern. Their run game basically, hit the fritz last week, and obviously, what are you going to do? You're going to lean on the pass a little bit heavier, and obviously those totals come up, and it makes it, again, a bit of fool's gold in that. His numbers come up. He had to throw it a little bit more last week. But, again, I still feel like this one's appealing. Look, without the run game, he added, 70 extra passing yards last week. So his rush yards have been a little bit erratic, but Detroit have given up the most rush yards to opposition quarterbacks this year with 500 or an average of 45 per week, which I'm nearly certain 85% of them have come from Justin Fields. Pretty certain. I have no numbers, but I'm guessing at least 375, 380 of that was Justin Fields in 1 week. Guessing. Probably. It is what it is. But, I could see their pass rush like letting him slip through once or twice. Maybe he's running for a first down from 3rd and long. I could see that sort of thing happening from Lawrence. He's good for it. He's had a couple games where he's gone for like 20 and 40. He can do it. Whether this is that week, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable knowing what ETN's status is. I know he was... Oh, yeah, no, I'm going to play, but yeah, okay, good. Like, we're all going to play, right? Like, yeah, we'll all be out there, but no, really, are you? Either way. Pick number 3, again, the guy that Arizona should have kept, Christian Kirk. I think he's the long-lost hero Arizona probably should have wanted to hold on to because, Hopkins, he's all right, I guess. Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore, come on. I'm going to give that one up. Christian Kirk higher than 61.5 receiving yards. Look, Detroit gives up the 3rd most yards to slot receivers. Zay Jones' health has been up and down this week. He actually started out at 49.5. For those that watch Dynasty Rewind Patreons over there, they know that I was hitting the Zay Jones drum beats this week for 49.5 receiving yards. And then, 1 day later, his props disappear. What happened here? So, I'd be surprised if, Zay Jones is in or out. I know a lot of people were ruled out this week. I don't think I saw Zay Jones on there. But either way, 49.5 receiving yards for Zay Jones would have been a lock. If he's not about 61.5 for Christian Kirk is an absolute certainty. So I feel like that, knowing that Detroit struggle against slot receivers, I feel like this is the sort of thing that you're looking for. If you're not comfortable with 61.5, because it does feel a little high for a guy like Christian Kirk, hang about on Sunday. I say this every week. Hang about till Sunday where you might see receiving props you like. Like that could be the thing. Okay, maybe it's over higher or lower than 4.5 or 5.5 receptions. Maybe that's something you want to have a look at, get a bite of. But either way, he's going to figure in prominently this week. He's going to have a very big game against the Detroit Lions, I would think. So those are my 3 for the morning. I'm going to give you a couple alternates. I've had a look at these. I am struggling to not understand why it feels like these totals are low. It really does for the guys that I'm about to talk about. Look, Nick Chubb, higher than 91.5 rush yards at Houston. Now, again, I'm still not sure what is more durable, the Houston Texans run D or a wet tissue. It's a toss-up. It could be I don't know. Maybe the wet tissue will give them a bit of run for their money because Houston's run D is absolutely atrocious, worst in the league, giving up the most yards to running backs, as it would be. He's going to rain bloody murder on them. Now, 144 yards per game to running backs per week. Chubb's average around, 95, 96. So, 94, there you go. Chubb's averaging 94 for the year. So, I guess the threat to this would be is if Kareem Hunt works in a little bit more. And I understand that, but he's kind of fallen off the face of the earth a little bit the past few weeks. But look at that. I'm talking about the Browns and Jamie's in here. How about that? One time, Dan. One time you talk about the Browns. Look, the thing is, Deshaun Watson props are out there. And to be honest with you, at Houston week 1 for him and week 13 for us, I get it. I know everyone wants this. I just don't think it's a revenge game. I'm kind of appalled that people think this is a revenge game for him. It's wild. Why? He's a prick. What are we doing here? How has he got the revenge? What's he so angry about? We got sponsors. I ain't getting into it anymore, but Jesus Christ, get amongst it. There's no freaking way that the revenge is on his side. Houston, neither of them. This should be a game that isn't televised. They shouldn't even play this one. I don't want to know what happens. People are looking for that car crash sort of environment out of this. Oh, we're going to see how the crowd reacts. Well, they're going to boo, probably loudly. A few people might throw some things at him. Tony Busby has a box with the victims in it. That's probably not a good start to everything, is it? My God, I'm getting away from it. Sorry, underdog. We're going to kick on. Either way, Nick Chubb higher than 91.5 rush yards at Houston. I feel like that's almost like a lock. I look at this and I'm thinking, that's the way through them, and it could be done early. He could get this locked up halfway through the third, and he might call it a day after that. Either way, Ryan Tannehill higher than 203 passing yards of Philly. The disrespect shown to Ryan Tannehill is maddening. I'm not a Ryan Tannehill person. I don't stand. I don't support. I don't cheer. I don't care, right? But the disrespect this guy has got over there, last year he was pretty damn good, and he had less at his disposal. And this year he still had AJ Brown. I get that, but he was in and out of the lineup. This year, it feels like he's got even less this year, and he's still putting up some relatively big numbers. It's kind of wild. Last 3 games straight over 250, including one for 330. Okay, why are we not getting behind that? Yes, one of them was a massive 80-yard touchdown to Treylon Burks. Yes, one of them was a 70-yard reception to Derrick Henry. Yes. That helps him a lot. But he's still getting about there. Look, he's starting to find a bit of that mojo that got them to be the best team in the AFC last year. And they had a real slow start. Do you know how slow a start to the year the Titans had? The Giants beat them week 1. That's how bad their start to the season was. The Giants pounded them week 1 in Tennessee. That says everything you need to know about the Titans and how their season started. He's come back, week 8? And he's been going pretty good at this point. So I kind of feel like that's where you are in that regard. Look, he did that against some solid pass defenses. We're looking at Denver, Green Bay, Cincinnati. Decent pass defense. Decent. It's not the worst of the bunch. We're looking at mid to upper tier pass defenses that he's been going up against. So for him to go 253 times and 1 for 330, I kind of feel like that's a bit of I've got the heater on. I'm burning up here. My leg's about to burn. Oh my God. Turn it off. No good. Either way, there you go. All the fun stuff there. So I kind of don't mind him for over 203.5 pass yards against Philly. Look, their defense starting to fall apart a little bit as well. A lot of, I've said it once, I've said it twice aside. Again, a lot of what they had was going weird, rested on Jordan Davis, that rookie. He come out and he absolutely blew everyone apart. Since he's been gone, teams have been starting to be able to run on him, and it's opened up a bit of the pass game. It's not too bad, but, look, I don't mind Tannehill having one more big game against Phil. I don't think they're going to win. I don't think that's going to happen. But at the same time, can he get over 204 passing yards? Yeah, I think he can. If you're a little bit concerned about it also, I should mention, pass attempts his pass attempts over that time was sort of over 32 per game. It doesn't leave a lot of imagination for you. They've given him a 30.5 floor. So that's something where I'd be a little concerned about that. But you'd think if he is going to go for 203 3.5. You wouldn't need 30-odd pass attempts to do so. So we'll see how that goes for him. The guy's been going again, 250, 330, 250. He's done all right of late. I think anyway. I don't even know how to answer this, mate. You might be able to help me. Kyle, how many Browns games do we have on Monday night this year? Do we have any left? Because that'd be interesting. We've had some stinkers lately. It's been brutal. If you don't know me, Kyle, the Doc, and Gladys, we run Monday night's 2-point conversion. Every Monday night, 7 o'clock, we got the Doc that does injury analysis, and we punch out some underdog props for the Monday night primetime game. Promo code GF2, 100% matching deposit up to $100. Get on it. As you should. But I'd be interested to know if we have any Browns games this year, because the NFL is going to expose the absolute piss out of this, right? So am I going to share any Argentina-Australia props? At the end, if you stick about, I'll do some ad-libbing. It's going to start with Argentina by 4. We'll go from there. No more Browns games for us on Monday. Okay, fair enough. I would have been heavily surprised if there were no Browns games in prime time for us, let alone anything else you could find. Just the one with the Browns earlier. Yeah, or the Bengals. I mean, that would have been a good one for us. We didn't get a lot of good ones on Monday night. They absolutely suck. I feel bad for the people that come up with games as well. Yeah, here's the schedule. Look at this. Russell Wilson versus Justin Herbert. This is going to go off. But we get Taysom Hill again this week. For fuck's sake. We're going to talk about that. John, my God. Either way. Let's move on into the afternoon. We're going to look at some of these games. You have a look at some of these. You got the Chargers and the Raiders at 50.5 implied total. Kansas at Cincinnati, 52.5. Miami and San Fran, 46.5. A lot of high implied total games, a lot of range of outcomes there. Guess what your boy did? He went for the lower one. Yep. We go on 46.5. Miami, San Francisco. I like the idea of Shanahan and McDaniels facing off. Shanahan always seems to have the upper hand on all these prodigies, I guess, but I'm actually more into okay, Vegas and Chargers. Maybe Mike Williams plays, maybe he doesn't. Maybe Everett plays, maybe I'm not really. Maybe Austin Eckler runs for 35 yards this time. Double his weekly output. Good for him. Kansas Cincinnati's an interesting one, but a lot of the props for the Bengals haven't dropped because obviously there's more than look. Once Jamar Chase information comes out, that's when Higgins, Mixon, and everything else will filter through. It's literally just Joe Burrow at this point. So I was like, well, I don't really want to just lean. I've got a Joe Burrow prop in here, spoiler, but it is what it is. So it felt like the most reliable option at this point. And obviously, look at what happened to Kansas last week. Juju comes back and from a concussion or whatever it was, the shoulder concussion. He doesn't do too well. Tony's out again. You're basically picking on Justin Watson or Sky Moore. Even like Kansas props are like, I think I'm going to stay away from that. The safest game in terms of options was this one. And I mean safe in terms of, hey, here's the guys that we know that are playing. They're here. They're out there. They're basically full accomplishment is out there at this point. So except for McCaffrey, I'm going to double down because I did this morning. I want to have a look if McCaffrey's out there because it sounds like he's going to play. Bear with me. Look at this. All the technical subtleties that you could ask for. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so McCaffrey's already up. This wasn't out here this morning, but I'm going to have a geeze at this a little bit later. But wouldn't you know, they've still got Jeff Wilson in the 49ers bracket. Awkward. Underdog, get on it. Either way, we're going to have a look at some of these props here. Your base 3 picks for your afternoon game at 46.5. Miami and San Francisco. I'm going to start off with Tyreek Hill lower than 7 receptions. I feel like that's a little dangerous and a little risky because he could do that by halftime in his sleep, which is not something. Betting against Tyreek Hill isn't something that you ever want to do. I did it once. I got absolutely skinned. I'll never do it again until today, where I'm going to do it again. Look, Hill and the Dolphins have played against some really, 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 really garbage teams that have inflated a fair bit of his numbers. Look, Houston, Chicago, Cleveland, what? He's not going to do well against them? I mean, this is the thing. Like, a lot of his numbers are just juiced up. So it's hard to get on him because you're like, well, those numbers keep floating up. You're going to have to start hammering the under at some point. So Tyreek Hill lower than 7 receptions. I feel like that's the way. Again, look, he hasn't had a tough matchup since the Jets in week 5. I can't even imagine saying that at the start of the year. If I got to week 13 and said, you know what, the hardest time Tyreek Hill had was against the Jets in week 5, 8 weeks ago, I don't know what I'd do with myself. But either way, look, he went 7 for 7 and 47. He still hit that 7 reception mark. I think it's only something he's managed to not do 2 or 3 times this year. So it's very much a bet against the grain, and I know that. But again, this is one of the better defenses in the NFL in San Fran on the road. It's just one of those things where I kind of feel like I think this game might be even be a slower paced game. I think San Fran are going to take their time and dissect all these teams they're playing up against. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Like, it's not happening. That's not going to happen with San Fran. They're not going to have the same opportunities, I think. So again, this prop, so there you go. San Fran, middle of the pack to receptions to wide receivers with a total of 12 per game. Obviously, throw in Jalen Waddle. Sherfield's going to be in there. It's interesting. Bit of a mix in there. Again, he could go 8 receptions and blow this up. Waddle could go for 3, 4, 5, and I don't even know how the math would work out with that. I doubt it. But lower than 7 seems to be a smart choice at this point. San Fran's going to put up a decent fight. I actually don't like Tua this week, lower than 280.5 passing yards. Again, very high quota for Tua this week considering the matchup. Again, he's been flirting with that 285, 300 mark, and I know he got pulled really early last week. God knows what he could have ended up with against Houston. Could have been an absolute massacre. But again, like, you're working in Chicago, who've just been appalling. Houston's in there. Cleveland, like, okay, Cleveland's pass defense is not the worst, but they can be had. San Fran are only allowing 234 passing yards per game, 10th most in the league for what it is. So that's a positive for him. That's a thing. So I did these props earlier with McCaffrey, and there was nothing on them. So I'm going to tell you what my thoughts were this morning, and I'm going to have a look at these and see if I'm in the ballpark. So I was going to take the over on receptions and receiving yards if the line was at 4.5 and 35 in receiving yards. Look at that, 38.5 receiving yards. All right, I'm okay with going over with that. I can go over that. Sure. You go for 40. I don't mind. Okay, there we go. So I was in the ballpark on his receiving yards, and I said take the lower on rush yards if the line is at 12 attempts. Attempts aren't out there yet. He hasn't had over 40 rushing yards in 3 weeks, and that's 3 weeks straight he hasn't had over 40 rushing yards. 4 out of the 5 games he's been in San Fran, he's been lower than 40. They have him at 53.5. So I'm going to go under on that as well. They might work in Tyrion Davis-Price. They might work in Jordan Mason. They could go with a full rotation there. But I do like him more in the receiving game, especially coming off a knee injury. So I don't mind taking him higher in receiving yards and lower in the rush yards. Again, I was pretty confident with that. 53.5 rush yards, I don't think he's going to get to that, but those receiving yards are 38.5. I think he can cross that. We're okay with this. Not bad. Very good. Well, that worked out well. How about that? Had to think about that. Where would that be this morning? Could have looked at other sites. Not going to do that. Why would I do that? Either way. Love me 2 times. Yeah, Gino's daily double. Gino Smith is an animal. Gino Smith, listen. Oh, it hasn't come out there. Oh, they're not going to do it. They'll do it. You watch. They'll buckle. They're just waiting until Sunday. They're waiting for everyone to put their money on him first. They'll do it. They always do it. Watch. Gino Smith higher than 1.5 touchdowns. He's going for 2. It's going to happen. Look at that. Going for 2. Look at that. Get on your Discord. Join us. Every week. Fridays, 8:30 p.m. Look, sunrise, sunset. Geno Smith throws 2 touchdowns a game. Look, again, it's one of those weird things. It's just a certainty at this point. Why are they going to expose themselves this early in the week There's something they know that's going to happen. That's wild. He's got 5 straight games of 2 passing touchdowns. He's only failed to hit this quota twice this season. The last time was week 6 against Arizona. Those 2 times that he didn't hit that mark, he didn't throw any passing touchdowns. He wasn't even there. Every other time it's been 3. So it's 3 or 2 or nothing, and he's gone 5 straight at 2. So they'll pop that out. Watch, they'll pop it out on I'll prop that one out there on Sunday morning. You watch, it's going to happen. Joe Burrow versus Kansas, higher than 298.5 passing yards. You know me, I hate betting on 2 things. High totals, hate it, and the unknown, because we don't know if Jamar Chase is playing. We don't know what's going to happen with that. And that changes everything. We don't know if Mixon's going to be out there. Changes everything. Okay? But the same thing I said about Jared Goff, which will be the first and last time I ever compare the 2 of them. You know how I feel about home underdogs chasing a high total. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So I don't mind that. So high line of 300 protects them a little bit. Either way, without Chase and Mixon, he punched 270 and 355. So he's done it without them. Give or take. Well, he's done it once without them. But, 270 without those 2 is pretty decent, I would think. He's only played them twice. 250 in the playoffs last year, but before that, 445 at home. So he's thrown up over 400 yards on the Chiefs before, at home, as an underdog. Incredible how those things kind of work out. I don't mind it at all. Love a coincidence. I love a coincidence. Love it how it works out. We're going to have a look at these evening games. I can't believe we've got to deal with the Colts again. God damn it. They absolutely killed me last week. Goddamn Colts. Colts are at Dallas. Implied total of 44. New Orleans at Tampa, 40.5. Barn burners. Yeah, this is going to be amazing. We got Matt Ryan versus Dak Prescott, primetime Sunday night back in May. This will be amazing. We're going to get MVP caliber Matt Ryan back. He's going to tear it up. Brutal. Poor Matt Ryan. Imagine when he left Atlanta, he's like, man, I'm going to go to a team with an O-line, decent receivers, a run game, and a coach that knows how to put together a game plan. Get away from Arthur Smith. A few days later. Anyway, base 3 picks for this. I've got one from the Colts game on the Sunday night. Look, again, you know how I feel about chasing high totals. I'm a little bit nervous about this. Matt Ryan higher than 2.5 rushing yards. He's got 2.5 rushing yards. Yeah, no, he's not going to scramble with Micah Parsons running at him. He's not going to scramble for his life. Of course he is. We saw him do it about 3-4 days ago. Look, 2 of his last 3 games, he's had 22 or more rushing yards. Yeah, 22 and like a 40 burger. Like, this is ridiculous. He's going to do it. You're going to see Micah Parsons run at him. He's going to, like, tuck it and run. It's going to happen. 2.5 rushing yards. I think it's a smart move. He's going to shit himself and run. You're like the Socceroos defense with Messi's running at him. Either way. Mike Evans, lower than 68.5 receiving yards. You're going to take that one. Look, it's him and Lattimore in another shit show. Like, it's, what a ruckus. Is it gonna, like, I get it. Like, yeah, they're fighting. Yeah, but they're not really fighting. It's like, I've got your collar. No, I've got your collar. I'm going to push you a little bit more in the ground. No, I'm going to push you in the ground. Fight, damn it. Do something. Take your helmets off and swing. They're not going to do it. I'll never do it. No. I'm going to talk bad about you. No, I'm talking worse. Idiots. Just walk away, man. What are you going to do? Like, catch the ball against Lattimore? Like, come on. It's going to be hard to watch. I know everyone gets excited about this, but I hate it. Like, they're both so freaking amazing, and then like they play each other, and it all turns to shit. Spiteful games for no reason. Like, you got nothing to play for, right? Like, Lattimore, don't be angry. Like, what are you going to do? You suck. You have 3 wins. You've only got 5. Like, that's what we're doing here. Brutal. Saints are top 10 in receiving yards to wide receivers, which is weird. They've been spotty all year, but you wouldn't think that. They're normally a tighter cohesive unit than that. But Kind of weird, you get those bit of rivals and fans get up, the juices are flowing. Mike Evans hasn't gone over 69 yards versus the Saints since 2019. They've got his number a little bit. It's been the Chris Godwin show of late as well. Like, he's been absolutely going nuts. So I kind of don't mind that. Look, and if I'm going to go Mike Evans lower, how much you can trust Julio Jones? Look, I know he likes to torture. Actually, to be fair, he does like to give the Saints some grief, old Julio. He absolutely tears them up. But guess what? Oh my God, all the props have disappeared. We've got one Chris Godwin prop. You watch, they're going to pop back up on Sunday. Watch, they'll do it. People have been hammering the under on Tom Brady at 270.5. That's where we're going for pick number 3 here. Tom Brady lower than 270.5 because it was there at 9 o'clock this morning. Underdog. Oh, shit, they're going under. He's not going to get there. We better get rid of it. This is what we'll do. We'll bring it back Sunday morning to see if anyone gets freaked out. That's what we'll do. Okay, look, this is what we're going to go with. Mike Evans' numbers were there. Everyone's hammering the under. Do you know why? Not going to happen. I get it. It's Tom Brady and all that. Saints own his ass. Look, since he got the Tampa, he's only had one game over the quota. He's been under 240 yards 4 times or more. This year alone, he limped to 190 passing yards. He does normally stick into that 37, 38-yard pass attempt. So if that drops, maybe you look to go over on that instead if you're not too keen on the passing yards. So that's something you might want to have a look at instead. That would be interesting, I would think. So if you're not too keen on the pass yards, if you still think he might go over 270, personally, I don't. Maybe you want to have a look at that when his props pop back up. His props pop back up on Sunday because, they're going to. Imagine that. Here's Dan going over his notes, punching out. He's like, yeah, these props are going to be awesome. Can't wait to talk about these tonight. 12 hours later. See you later. No dramas. Good night. Killing me! Either way, I'm going to go over these one more time. Underdog.com. Promo code GF2, 100% matching deposit up to $100. Get around it. Hit us up on your Discord. GF2 going for 2 server. You can always subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the alert button. Again, best show of the week is following me. It's going to be a DFS, Armchair Fantasy Show. DFS has got Tim, Gerson, and Jeff punching out your cash and GPP options. Fantastic. Again, I say this every week. Use your prop bets to set up your DFS. If you feel like this is what Vegas is looking at, wow, Jared Goff, 241. Man, if he could go to 300 yards, have a really big game against the Jaguars at 5,300, he's then going to hit that 300-yard bonus, 2 touchdowns. We're looking at 24 points. He might 5X. That's a great way to set yourself up. Use those props to leverage your DFS options. I say it all the time. It's a great way to get around it. And you got these shows back-to-back every Friday night. Help leverage yourself into the best possible situation you can. Those guys are on fire this year as well. IDP and Dynasty shows every Saturday night. Sunday, you get your starts and sits without Gladys, but she should be there. Doesn't matter. You can come hang out with us every Monday night. Dynasty Gambit on a Thursday. Speak on it on a Tuesday. Speak on it. Funniest show of the week. They know their stuff as well. That's beside the point. But 2 hours of laughter. My God, join them. We have another Jeff show on a Wednesday, but he doesn't even promote that. Doesn't really matter. Either way, we're going to kick off. Jacksonville, Detroit over the implied total of 51. Jared Goff higher than 241.5 passing yards. Trevor Lawrence higher than 14.5 rushing yards for a weird one. Christian Kirk higher than 61.5 receiving yards. Good morning. The morning alternate game picks. Nick Chubb higher than 91.5 rush yards. And Ryan Tannehill higher than 203 passing yards against Philly. Chubb against Houston. It's a clean sweep going higher. I hate doing it because I like to bet against the human condition. But here we are. Afternoon picks. Miami, San Fran, 46.5. Game implied total. Tyreek Hill lower than 7 receptions. Tua Tagovailoa lower than 280.5 passing yards. And again, no CMC props at that point, but I'm still going to stick with it. We're going to go to Christian McCaffrey. We said before, I'll say it again. We're going to hit him on those receiving yards over. Where are you? 38.5 receiving yards. I still think that might come down a little bit. You might want to hold off till Sunday to get on that. Again, some of those props might reappear. Who knows? Afternoon game picks. Geno Smith higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. It'll pop back up again. It'll be there. Just be patient. Joe Burrow higher than 298.5 passing yards. I feel like that's a risky one. If Chase pulls out, you have my permission to pull back lower. Again, it's Friday night. I feel like Chase might be there. We'll see where we go from that. Primetime games, Sunday and Monday night. We got Mike Evans lower than 68.5 receiving yards. That prop disappeared. We got Tom Brady lower than 270 passing yards. That prop also disappeared. And we got Matt Ryan higher than 2.5 rushing yards because Dan's got a sense of humor. Doesn't he just? Now, if Kyle's still there, we were looking at some Australia props versus Argentina. And I'm having a look. Mitchell Duke, 1-shot attempt. Lower. Jackson Irvine, he's not going to get a shot off. Aaron Moy will. He'll launch one from about 40 yards out. Aziz Bayich is good for 2 tackles. Harry Sudo with 40 passes. Man, that seems a little high. If I lock in anything for the Australians, it's Aaron Moy, half a shot attempted. I like that one, to be honest. And Aziz Bayich, 2 tackles. He seems to get targeted a fair bit. Aziz Bayich, yeah. I forget where he was in Turkey for like 10 years. He was killing it out there for a while. As for Argentina, let's have a look at this. Rodrigo De Paul's always in the thick of it. We're quite combative. 2 tackles. He should go higher. I don't care for Laturo Martinez or Angel Di Maria. Julian Alvarez, he might have a bit of trouble because he might not even start. They might go with Martinez. They're crazy, though. They should be starting Alvarez. Martinez does nothing. Messi, 4.5 shots. He might get that in the first 20 minutes. I'm joking, but he could. But I don't mind if, in all seriousness, I don't mind Rodrigo De Paul over 2 tackles. I don't mind Aaron Moy half a shot. And I don't mind Aziz Bayich over 2 tackles. If I had to pick on anything, but y'all are Americans, right? Well, except for Kyle. How is Daley Blinn still playing? Frankie de Jong at 66.5 passes. That's got to be a lock. Gakpo too, yeah. Walker Zimmerman, why hasn't he got a prop for how many times you can fuck up in one game? He's terrible. McKinney's good for a shot, half a shot. Tim Weah, 1 shot. You could go for 2 if he starts. Interesting. Some good ones in there. Bet against Walker Zimmerman. He's garbage. He's fucking terrible. Either way, doesn't matter. That's what we got for this week. Giving you an extra 7 minutes of prime content on a Friday night. Get around it. If you have any questions, as always, you can find me in the Discord on Twitter. Come hang out with us on Monday night again. 2-point conversion. Forget who we got. Who's playing? Kyle, who's playing Monday night? I just said it. Tampa, New Orleans. Oh, my God. With all those props not there still. Unbelievable. They just disappeared. 7 hours later. I've been to Portugal. It's a beautiful place. Beautiful. Went to Luis Figo's bar. There you go. Why not? Got to live once, right? Maybe. Saints Bucks. I don't want to even think about it. I'm so disheartened that we have this game. Normally you should be excited, but just hit unders. Unders. They're all gonna get red carded by halftime. There you go. Soccer pun in the football world. Either way. Good luck to everybody this week putting your bets on. I enjoyed your company and time and all that sort of jazz. Good luck, happy betting, good punting.